Let it roll.
It's going?
Yep.
What's up, West Viera? Here's what went down for the month of May in the real estate world. I want to start with the basic facts compared to last year, and then I've got a couple more detailed stats I'm going to share with you guys. So in May we had 46 sales, and this is actually up from last year. So last year there were 33 sales, and so this is an increase at about 39%. For me, I'm not surprised at that stat because I did expect more sales from last year because last year was relatively slow. The median sales price is up by about 2.4%. In May of this year, the close price was $696,000 and some change. Last year, it was $680,000. Now for me, again, an expected statistic. What we want to see in a healthy market is somewhere between 3 to 5% in annual appreciation, and we are really close to being there. Now the median days on market was 51, and when we compare it to last year, it was 25 days. So a much faster market last year, but due to the saturated amount of inventory that we currently have, not surprised that we're seeing longer days on market this year. Here's a stat a lot of agents don't talk about, and it's the sold price compared to the original list ratio. And this represents what a home sells at versus what it was originally listed at. And I track this stat because it gives buyers an idea of their negotiation window. So last month we saw it right at 96.5%. So if you're a buyer and you're looking at a list price of a home, just know it's more than likely going to close somewhere within about 4% of that. And sellers, it's also important to understand this because buyers in this market, as you're probably aware, are really not going to offer asking price. So they're going to negotiate somewhere. So as long as we know where we're going to land, relatively speaking, it's important to know that stat. Now let's get a little bit more detailed. 20% of these transactions, the agent indicated that the seller offered concessions. Now I believe that this is an underreported number because based on my experience, this stat should really be around 50%, if not higher. Remember, a concession is nothing more than a credit that a seller gives you. It could be in the format of a repair that they didn't want to do, and so they just kind of threw money at it. It could be because you just negotiated and asked for some more money, whether you use the inspection to your advantage or not, or just the seller said, hey, our carpets need to be replaced, here's a $5,000 credit. And so the average concession amount for these transactions was $3,500. Now there were two that were reported that were much higher, $22,000 and just under $24,000. That is a lot of concessions. And I know what you might be thinking, now these are probably for $1 million and up homes. They weren't, they were both for right around $800,000 homes. It's a lot of money that the seller conceded to make that buyer move forward with the transaction. All right, that's enough about the concession stuff. The last thing I'm gonna cover here is the transaction type or cash, financing, and other ways that people bought homes in this area. So starting at the top, 19 transactions, which represents 41% of all the closed activity in West Viera, went to conventional financing. 16 of these transactions, which is 35%, went to cash buyers, and 10 of these transactions, which represents 22%, went to VA. And then there was one assumption deal that actually went through, which I am very, very surprised because those are a royal pain in the ass. And so when you put all these together, 65% of all the closed transactions in this area went to a financing form, which means 35% were cash. And so for context, again, that's a lot of cash in this market right now. 35% is a high number. So what does this mean? Well, if you are selling in this market, I would bank on a financing deal coming through for your home, which means inspections have to fly, and it's going to relate to insurance because they're going to have to get insurance to get that mortgage. There's going to be appraisals involved and always the potential wrinkle in the buyer obtaining loan approval. All right, guys, that's enough for now. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or shoot me an email to Shane@thebergmangroup.com, but I got to get the hell out of here.